Hi everyone, welcome back to Breaking the Stigma. In episode 1, we talked about what disability truly means, that it's not a defect or a tragedy, but a natural part of human diversity. Today, we're going deeper. We're tackling one of the most powerful barriers that persons with disabilities face every day: stereotypes. Stereotypes are the invisible walls that keep people from being seen for who they truly are. They influence how we talk, how we design our spaces, how we hire, and even how we teach. But here's the truth: stereotypes are learned, and they can be unlearned. So in this episode, we'll explore 5 of the most common stereotypes about persons with disabilities, where they come from, why they're wrong, and how we can change the story. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is a stereotype? The United Nations Human Rights Office defines stereotypes as preconceived ideas whereby people are categorized and judged based on characteristics that are often oversimplified or false. In simpler words, stereotypes are shortcuts our minds take, assumptions about a whole group of people without really knowing them. Sometimes stereotypes may seem positive, calling someone inspirational or special. But even so-called positive stereotypes can cause harm because they set unrealistic expectations and reduce complex human beings into labels. For persons with disabilities, stereotypes can lead to discrimination in school, the workplace, healthcare, and everyday life. They can make people feel invisible, underestimated, or excluded. So let's unlearn these one by one. This is one of the oldest and most damaging stereotypes. Many people still believe that persons with disabilities are helpless, that they constantly need assistance, that they can't make their own decisions, or that their lives are defined by dependence. The truth? Independence looks different for everyone. According to the World Health Organization's World Report on Disability, 2011, most persons with disabilities are perfectly capable of leading independent lives if barriers are removed. It's not the disability itself that limits people, it's the environment, the attitudes, and the lack of accessibility. Let's think about it. If a building has no ramp, who is disabled? The person using the wheelchair. Or the architect who didn't consider inclusion. Support is not the same as pity. Everyone, at some point in life, needs support, but people with disabilities deserve autonomy, not overprotection. In the Philippines, we have inspiring examples: professionals, parents, athletes, and public servants who live fully independent lives. What they need is respect, not pity. This one sounds positive, but it can actually be harmful. Often, we see viral videos or headlines like "Look how amazing this person with a disability is," simply because they're doing something ordinary, studying, working, or playing sports. The late Australian disability advocate Stella Young coined the term inspiration porn to describe this, when persons with disabilities are used to inspire others, rather than being valued as equals. She said, and I quote, "We are not here for your inspiration." Why is this a problem? Because it makes people with disabilities seem extraordinary just for existing, as if living a normal life with disability is remarkable. It turns them into objects of admiration rather than subjects of empowerment. Real inclusion means recognizing that people with disabilities can be heroes, yes, but also students, employees, artists, or parents, just like anyone else. They don't exist to make us feel grateful for our own lives. Respect, not romanticization, is the foundation of equality. Let's talk about employment, an area full of stereotypes. Many employers still believe that hiring a person with a disability is risky or costly. Some assume they can't handle demanding jobs or meet performance standards. But global data tells a very different story. The International Labor Organization, ILO, reports that companies that prioritize disability inclusion are 28% more productive and have 30% higher retention rates. The World Bank also emphasizes that excluding persons with disabilities from the workforce costs countries up to 7% of GDP. Because talent, innovation, and skill are being wasted. Inclusion benefits everyone. Persons with disabilities bring creativity, problem-solving skills, and resilience shaped by navigating barriers every day. When accessibility tools and reasonable accommodations are provided, such as flexible schedules, screen readers, or sign language interpreters, everyone wins. Disability inclusion is not charity. It's smart business, it's social justice, and it's basic human rights. Another widespread misconception is that you can see disability, but many people live with invisible disabilities, such as chronic pain, mental health conditions, learning differences like dyslexia, or neurodivergent traits such as autism or ADHD. Because these are not visible, people are often judged or accused of exaggerating their condition. According to the Invisible Disabilities Association and the World Health Organization, around 70% of disabilities are not immediately visible. That means the colleague beside you, the student in your class, or the commuter on the bus might be managing challenges you don't see. Inclusion means believing and accommodating those experiences, even when you can't visually identify them. The goal isn't to identify who's disabled, it's to build environments that work for everyone, visible or not. Finally, let's talk about diversity within disability. Disability is not a single identity. It's an incredibly broad and varied experience: physical, sensory, intellectual, psychosocial, and developmental. Even two people with the same condition can have completely different experiences depending on their environment, access to healthcare, gender, income, and cultural background. This is where the concept of intersectionality comes in, a framework introduced by scholar Kimberly Crenshaw. It reminds us that identity overlaps. A woman with a disability may face gender discrimination and accessibility barriers simultaneously. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, UNCRPD, emphasizes the need to recognize diversity within disability, because inclusion must reflect real human variety. We must stop treating persons with disabilities as one group with one story. Every story is unique, and every story deserves to be heard. Now that we've seen the 5 main stereotypes, let's talk about why they matter. Stereotypes don't just shape attitudes, they shape systems. They influence who gets hired, who gets invited, who gets to learn, and who gets left behind. They silence voices and limit opportunities. The UNCRPD reminds us that persons with disabilities have the same rights as everyone else to education, employment, participation, and dignity. But for those rights to be real, we must change not just laws, but minds. Breaking stereotypes starts with awareness, but it must lead to action: accessible infrastructure, inclusive education, equal employment, and representation in media. So, what can we do, as individuals, as communities, and as nations? One thing that you can do is to educate yourself. Read, listen, and learn from real experiences. Follow disability advocates and organizations. Another thing is to challenge stereotypes when you see or hear them. Whether it's a joke, a meme, or an assumption, call it out respectfully. Also, design and act inclusively. In your workplace, classroom, or public space, ask, can everyone access this? And lastly, support representation. Encourage media and policymakers to show authentic stories, not token images. Inclusion starts small, in the words we use, the choices we make, and the spaces we share. Every respectful interaction is a step toward equality. To end, let's remember this: disability does not define a person. Stereotypes do, until we break them. Persons with disabilities are not symbols of tragedy or triumph, they're human beings, with talents, ambitions, and dignity. The challenge for all of us is to see ability, not limitation, to build a world that doesn't just include people with disabilities, but celebrates them as part of humanity's strength and diversity. Because when we break stereotypes, we don't just change how we see others, we change how the world can be. Thank you for watching episode 2 of Breaking the Stigma. If you believe in inclusion and equality, please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video so more people can understand the truth about disability. Stay tuned for episode 3, Everyday Discrimination and Microaggressions, and How to Stop Them. Let's keep breaking the stigma, one story at a time. God bless us.